When I was younger, I really believed I was living my life in a way that would spare me from regret. I thought if I'm intentional enough, self-aware enough, values-driven enough, I won't end up looking back wishing I had done things differently. Now I realize something important. I didn't have fewer regrets back then, I just hadn't lived long enough yet. If you live long enough, you will have regrets. Not because you failed, but because perspective changes. You get more information, you grow. You become someone who can finally see what was impossible to see at the time. And yes, when I look back at my 20s, I absolutely have regrets too. So today I want to talk about regret through an internal family systems lens. Because regret isn't just one feeling, it's a system of parts. Internal family systems says we're not one unified self. We contain parts, distinct voices with their own fears and protective strategies. Beneath them are vulnerable parts carrying old pain. When self, our capacity for calm and clarity, can hold all these parts, we work with our experience instead of being run by it. Awareness is key. One of the first parts involved is the avoidance part. This is the part that says, I don't really have regrets, or everything happened for a reason, or it all worked out. Sometimes that's wisdom, and sometimes that's a protector, keeping us from touching pain we weren't ready for. Then there's the deep sadness part. This part mourns what didn't happen, the relationship you stayed in too long or left too soon, the career path you didn't take, the version of yourself that never fully emerged. This part doesn't want fixing, it wants acknowledgement. Next comes the inner judge, the part with perfect 20/20 hindsight. This part says, you should have known. That was obviously the wrong choice. How could you not see that? But here's the truth. You did not have the information then that you have now. This part is judging the past with present-day knowledge, and that is an impossible standard. We also often have shame and guilt parts tangled into regret. Shame says, there's something wrong with me. Guilt says, I made a bad choice. And sadness says, something mattered deeply and I lost it. So those are very different experiences and they need very different responses. Here's something important. As we heal, regret can actually get louder. When protector parts relax, when we're safer inside, feelings we couldn't afford to feel earlier finally come forward. That doesn't mean you're going backward. It means you're more resourced. So what does an IFS approach to regret actually look like? First, we don't try to eliminate regret. We get curious about who is here. Instead of asking, how do I stop feeling regret? We ask, which part of me is carrying this regret? And what does it need from me right now? From self, we can say, of course you feel this way. Of course this hurts. You were doing the best you could with what you had. Regret often isn't asking to be corrected. It's asking to be witnessed, to be mourned, to be held with dignity instead of attacked. When regret is met with self-energy, something shifts. It softens. It becomes less about punishment and more about meaning. Regret, transformed, becomes wisdom. Not wisdom that rewrites the past, but wisdom that informs how you live now. So if regret is visiting you, especially as a new year begins, see if you can pause before judging it. Ask, who in me is hurting? Who is criticizing? And can I show up as the one who listens rather than the one who prosecutes? Regret doesn't mean you failed at life. It means you lived and you've zoomed out and are looking at the big picture. It's time to zoom out a bit more, this time with more understanding and self-compassion.